Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to go over Phase 1 of the final boss, which is the Galhran's Deception encounter. I decided not to make a video for the jumping puzzle after the first encounter, as that encounter is pretty self-explanatory. The only new mechanic is that some of the void crystals will have shields around them, which means you just need a buffed player and a non-buffed player to get in close to the crystal and shoot it. I mean, other than that, it's just a pretty standard jumping puzzle. But anyway, let's talk about Phase 1. The final boss room is split into three different sections. There's the purple side, there's the dog side, which has a big dog statue on it, and then there's spawn, which is the front of the room. You want each of your two-person teams from before to pick a side to stand in. Meleeing the deceptions that are at the top of the stages starts the encounter. Once the fight starts, the three sections will have walls that go up that prevent players from going outside of their area. So each two-person team is essentially on their own for the time being. One of the sides will have the green pool from before that grants the Witch's Blessing buff. One player from that side should stand in it to get the buff. The side clockwise from the buff start point will have regular adds with no boss for the time being. And the final side will have to deal with regular adds plus an immune boss that's running around trying to kill you. The side with the boss can't damage the boss at all for the time being. So their job is to just clear the other adds and just stay alive until the DPS phase starts. Now, the general gist of the fight is the same as the Hive Ritual encounter. The buffed player needs to kill the blessed adds, and the non-buffed player needs to kill the non-blessed adds. It's very important in this fight that you kill the adds on your side as quickly as possible. Because there's no way for you to pass the buff until all your adds are dead. Once the blessed ogres on each side are dead, the witch's vessel on the right side of the area where the buff started is going to spawn in. Now this is probably the trickiest part of the fight to understand. Both players from the side that started with the buff and only one player from the next side should meet up on the vessel and stand in the circle. You then shoot the crystal, and that will pass the buff to the other side. This will also cause the wall that's between these sides to disappear, so those four players can now help each other if they need to. You then rinse and repeat killing adds, just like before, until the blessed ogres are dead again. Once the final witch's vessel spawns in, all 6 players then need to go to the witch's vessel and shoot it. This will take down the final wall, and this is what actually starts the DPS phase. Now, in order to damage the boss, one player with the buff and one player without the buff have to melee the boss in order to take down his shield. Once his shield is down, you DPS him until his shield goes back up, at which time you need another buffed player, and preferably the same non-buffed player, to melee him again to take his shield down again. Now, a couple of important things to know about the DPS phase. The DPS phase is going to last until all players that had the buff have expended their buff by meleeing the boss to take his shield down. It's important to call out which buffed player is going to melee the boss, first, second, third, etc. Any buffed player that stands too close to the boss when his shield goes down is going to have their buff removed as well, and that's going to shorten the DPS phase overall. So, it is very, very important that if you are not the current player that is going to melee the boss to take his shield down, that you are not anywhere near the boss. Because another thing to be aware of is if you have the Witch's Blessing buff, you are not going to be able to do damage to the boss even if his shield is down until you are the person that goes in and melees him and takes his shield down again. So don't even bother wasting your ammo until you've actually used your buff to take his shield down. But other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just have the buffed players and the non-buffed player take his shield down each time and DPS him as much as you can until you use up all your buffs, at which point the boss will disappear and your teams go back to their respective sides and you start the entire thing over again. You have I think you have 3 DPS phases to take him down before he becomes enraged and wipes the team. In terms of subclasses to run, Warlock Wells are really good here. I would recommend Warlocks run well. There's really no reason to run anything else except maybe Nova Bomb to clear some ads. Hunters can run Tether for the ads, or they can run Nighthawk Golden Gun to take down their Ogre when it spawns in, or to DPS the boss once his shield is down. Titans, I would say, should probably run Melting Point. It'll help when the boss's shield is down. But anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I will be back to talk about Phase 2 of the final boss, but I will see you later. Thanks.